Hello, single parent families. Tony Bianco here with you, and I have your questions right here in front of me. And Holly has compiled these together and has given me kind of the top questions, most frequently asked, if you will, from our time together on Sunday. First off, let me tell you, just thank you so much for being there. I know I gave you a lot of information, and I didn't give you all the information because I didn't have all of the time I may need it or not. But I wanted to thank you so much for being there and being a part of that, and I hope that you were able to leave there encouraged and feeling equipped to go and do some things in your home when it comes to technology. All right, let's get to the questions. All right, here we go. First one, is there any way to check content viewed on YouTube? What about Snapchat? All right, so when it comes to viewing content, this is going to be where some of those filtering and those parental control apps that I recommended to you are going to be. These are going to be ways for you to check search history, specifically with YouTube. Now, YouTube has a YouTube Kids function, but as far as I can tell, it's going to be troublesome if you have a middle schooler or older, just because the content that's on there isn't going to be stuff that they're going to want to see. YouTube does have a pretty good policy about not having pornography specifically on there, but because people can get very, very close to things and not call it actual pornography, there's still going to be some inappropriate things on there. And so I would definitely look to set up parental controls through YouTube Safe Search or YouTube Restrictions, which does exist within Google. And so make sure you do that as you go in there, as well as checking what those filtering programs are going to do. They're going to pull a list of websites that were viewed or at least flagged, and you may have to check them yourself. And so if you're a guy, I'll just tell you right away, have somebody with you when you check some of these if this may be something you're struggling with as well. So know that that's out there, and that's an option for you. When it comes to Snapchat is a tough one because the whole idea of Snapchat, those pictures are there for a certain amount of time and then they're gone. Now, the program I mentioned to you the other day, Pocket Guardian, for the $12.99 a month, you will be able to monitor Snapchat pictures. And so that's going to be one of the best things out there. There's not a lot of things that monitor Snapchat. And again, with all of these different things, my recommendation to you is to really take a look at them before you get into fully committing. So, right, maybe do the free trial or try it for a month and see how you like it, if it's user-friendly or not, right? That's going to be a really big deal. Question number 2, how do you talk about inappropriate content in an age-appropriate way, right? And what words do you use, and maybe when do you start? This is a great question. Okay, this is a really good question because I mentioned on Sunday that if you've got a third grader, you need to have been talking about pornography, right, or at least inappropriate content. And the best way that I would tell families to do this is to really approach this as to what is appropriate and what is inappropriate, just in general, right? And then you can even use their own bodies as an example, right? There are certain areas that we don't talk about, we don't show other people, right? And so start that with younger kids. Start talking about it in that way, that if you're seeing these parts or somebody's talking to you about these parts, that should be a red flag for your son or daughter that this is an inappropriate conversation or this is inappropriate content, right? And then you need to give them very clear instructions on what you want them to do if something like this happens, right? If something pops up on a screen or somebody shares something with them. Okay, as your students get older, all right, you're going to continue to hopefully have that conversation each and every year, right? You need to have the sex talk with your kids more than once, all right, because there's just things that are going to be said and things that are going to be talked about as your kids get older that you don't want them going out and finding answers on their own, right? And so the older your kids get, once they understand this idea of what is inappropriate and what's not inappropriate, then maybe you need to start posing questions to them, right? What questions do you have? Is there something you want to talk about? Is there something your friends are talking about, right? Now, this may be hard if you don't have a relationship right away. We talked about cultivating an environment for communication, right? Maybe you don't have this great communication, environment with your kids, and so it may take some time building some of that up, right? And so just start that with just any type of topic, right? Talk about sports, talk about things that you like. One of the best things and one of the best ways that I connect with my kids is I talk about my past. Right? When I was your age, I like to do this, or I like to go have fun like this with my friends, or I did this one time. And it gets me talking to my kid and him to be able to relate, or her to be able to relate to what you're saying, right? And so start in that way, right? Maybe even pose the question, hey, when I was your age, I had this question, right? So it's not like I'm coming out, I need to talk to you about this specific thing because I know there's a problem. No, you pose it as, hey, this happened to me, this is probably happening to you, right? But start having those conversations, right? I will tell you, as a church, this next year, we are going to, as part of our Grow at Home strategy, talking about healthy sexuality, and it's going to talk about it for preschool children and student-age kids, right? And so on our Grow at Home app, you're going to be able to find some information about that coming actually, I think, this summer, if not by August. So be on the lookout for that as well, but definitely start having these conversations. Next question. If I monitor apps, how do you see pics that are already opened in Instagram? Now, I'm guessing you meant Snapchat because Instagram pictures are going to be there, and so I would go back to that idea of Pocket Guardian as being that option, right? Is being able to see those things when they come out. When it comes to Instagram, though, you need to know that Instagram does have the feature of private conversations and timed photos. Okay, and so the same thing is going to apply for Instagram in that way through the Pocket Guardian app, right? There you're going to be able to monitor some of that, right? And here's the other thing. If monitoring some of this is too difficult for you, maybe the question should be, not how can I monitor this, but should my son or daughter have this, right? Because if you're saying I need to monitor this because there's been a problem in the past, maybe that's not something they need to have at all. Right? If it's something you're worried about in the future, the best way I can tell you to monitor social media is monitor the friends. Okay? Make sure you know who the friends are on Instagram and Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest. You start naming all of them, right? They're all out there. Make sure you are okay with who they are friending and who are following them, right? Because if you know and you like their friends, then the content they receive is going to be mostly okay, right? And that's going to be a continued thing, right? They're going to continue to add friends. More of their friends, if you've got younger kids, are going to start getting phones. They're going to start getting social media. So it's going to be something you're going to have, right? And so maybe you say, hey, I don't want you to be friends on this social media app with this person because of XYZ, right? Or, yes, I'm going to approve your friends if you want to have this app, right? So that might be an option out there for you as well. Okay, next question. What are some consequence ideas? This is a great segue, right? So maybe a consequence for your student not following through with your family technology plan is not only time away from their device for a period of time, but maybe they don't get that app for a while, right? They get to keep their phone, but they don't get their app, right? So if they had a problem with Snapchat or they had a problem with Instagram, they lose the app for a period of time, right? And I think they can lose an app longer than they may lose their device, right? Because just for convenience factors for the older students out there, right? They may need that device because of sports or cars or things like that. But if you say, hey, you cannot have this app, you can delete it from their phone and set restrictions up so they cannot download it without you knowing. So that may be a good consequence. Some other consequences, sentence writing, like I said the other day, is a great one, right? Maybe some physical labor, right? Additional chores. Yes, this idea of chores in our society today is foreign to them, but for us it was just everyday things. Another very popular thing is to remove social activity, right? You're not going to be able to go to the basketball game on Thursday night to go watch the home team play, right? You can't go to this party, right? Here's one thing though that please do not do. Please do not take them away from church, right? We want to take them away from things that are going to be painful to them. And if church is one of those things that would be, please don't make that a consequence, because they're going to gain something more here than I would say they would gain somewhere else, right? So don't take that away. But take other social responsibilities away potentially, right? They can't go do this extra thing after their extracurricular. They can't go do that, right? If you have younger kids, maybe it's, like I said, time away from the device. Or if you have a family technology plan in place after you've talked this through, maybe you go in and you increase some of those restrictions, right? You're not going to get 2 hours a day of playtime. You're only going to get 1 now because you abused the limits that we had before. Right? And so think of it as just any type of other consequence for any other type of action, right? And so go and walk through it like that. Next question. We've got 3 more, including this one. Here we go. how would I know something was deleted, like websites or instant messages or messages, right? There are lots of different ways to do that, right? Some of the apps like Pocket Guardian, like I mentioned, X3 Watch, Circle, those things are going to help you do that. Okay, if you're looking for ways to see specifically messaging, there are some things out there for that. All right, KidGuard is a way for you to see text messages that have been received as well as deleted. That's going to cost you about $20 a month if you use Apple products. Right? If you use Android products, there's one called Phone Leash that's actually free that will let you see those things coming through. Another one that's out there for Apple users is called MobiPast. So it's MobiPast. So MobiPast. That one's going to cost you about $30 a month to do that monitoring without having to install anything on your kid's device. But you're going to get reports of messages and messages sent and messages received, as well as potentially ones that are deleted. When it comes to deleting things, just period, you need to have somewhat of a relationship enough with your son or daughter to say, listen, we are not going to delete things on our phone. Right? It's not just because they're trying to hide things, but it's for their protection, right? If somebody comes and says, hey, we received this from your son or daughter, and you go look at their phone and it's gone and it's on someone else's, then you know they've deleted something, right? But understand that you need to have this idea that we're not going to delete. There's got to be a level of trust, a basic foundation of trust, right? If your son or daughter, you're saying, look, I can't trust them to not delete stuff, well, then maybe they don't need the phone, right? Go get them a dumb phone where they can just make phone calls. Right? Let that be an option. Maybe they don't know that's an option that you have for them, and that may need to be an option for them. Right? And so say, listen, if you're going to have this device, you're not going to delete things. We're not going to do that as a family. And so you're going to have to keep everything on here. Otherwise, you're just not going to have this device. For those kids that you don't have that problem with, and you still want to do some of the monitoring, some of these other things are going to help you do just that. The next one, how do I monitor videos watched on a school laptop, specifically at the other parent's house? Again, a lot of these questions are about monitoring or checking up on. When it comes to videos watched, it's going to be search history. And there's a way for them to delete that, but that's going to have to be a conversation had. Now, if they go to, say you have Circle, if they go to something on Circle, and they're even at the other parent's house, if you're paying for Circle Go, which is $5 a month, you're going to see those websites, right, when they've gone to them. Even if they delete them from the computer's history, you're going to have a record of them through Circle, right? And so a lot of those apps are going to do that. Even if it's a school laptop, you are still able to do that because it's not connecting anything to the computer specifically. It's connecting to the web browser, basically. Not the web browser specifically, but the internet on the device. And so anytime it goes on the internet, it's going to keep a log of that, even if it's a school laptop. Okay, even if it's a school laptop. And I would encourage you to have a conversation with your school. Maybe the school has something already on the laptop that they can let you see. Some schools already load it with parental controls, specifically to keep kids off of things on school Wi-Fi, right? And so maybe you talk to the IT administrator at your kid's school and have a conversation as what they're doing to see if that feature can even roll over, maybe even into your home. Maybe you don't have to buy anything more because it's already on the device. Right? But that would be the best way to do that when it comes to that. And last question is this. Is there a way to find out if your family member has created a second incognito account? All right, so when it comes to Instagram, these are called Finstas, by the way. Finsta, fake Instagram account is what that stands for, a Finsta. And kids will get these for lots of different reasons. Maybe one is to be deceptive so that they have a secondary account. Other reasons why they have things like this are they want to follow some type of a makeup company or a blog, and they're going to do a photo challenge, and they're going to post pictures of certain things each and every day, and it's part of some type of photo challenge. And they don't want to, the idea is that they don't want to bog down their actual Instagram feed and their followers to see things like that. Instead, because this is a contest I'm trying to win, or this is something I'm participating in, but it's not my real account because this one is one I don't care about. Right? Because our kids actually care about how many likes they get on their photos. If you take a look at your kid's Instagram account and you notice they are caring about it, chances are a lot of their photos are going to have over 100 likes. their students are known to delete pictures from Instagram because they don't have as many likes as they think they should have. I know, it's crazy, but that's their way that they're connecting with their peers, and it's their way of saying, hey, look, I'm successful. Lots of people like who I am or what I'm doing or what's going on in my life. And so if people aren't liking their photos, then they're not liking me and what I'm doing in my life. And so I want to get rid of that. So if someone sees my Instagram, they think, oh, wow, this person's so popular. Everyone likes them. They love what I'm doing, and this is a really cool person to follow. Seems silly, but it's a huge deal for our kids. And so there are lots of reasons why our kids are doing this, but that is one of them. And so the way for you to know and to monitor this is really to understand that there's going to need to be a level of trust and conversation when it comes to this. Now, to have a second Instagram account, you've got to have another email account. So does that mean your kid's got 2 email addresses you don't know about? Right? You can also pull up on their phone. If you're doing an audit, you can go under Instagram, and if they have both accounts linked on their device, you should be able to see that if you go to their profile. For the student ministry, I have the student ministry one linked to my profile, so I can go and switch between those 2 accounts. All right? And so you can find that into your profile. And so that would be a quick way to do that. If your student's really being suspicious about it, they probably wouldn't have it linked in there, and they actually go in and sign out and then sign in to each account specifically. And so again, the best way for you to monitor that is to have conversations, as well as to be doing audits on devices where you're actually checking the device itself. Right? The other thing when you do an audit is you can check the camera roll, right? You check the camera roll and see the pictures that were taken. If these pictures are matching things that are on Instagram, okay, then it's their Instagram account. If you're seeing lots of pictures in the photo reel that you never saw on their Instagram account, you can have a conversation about that, because maybe those photos were going to another Instagram account or another app completely. And so it's just an opportunity to have a conversation. Right? Again, it's setting those expectations and having conversations around both that are going to help you when it comes to parenting through technology. Right? It's always changing. Right? The things that I told you this Sunday and the things I'm telling you right now are probably going to be relevant for about the next 6 months or so, and then things are going to be new and things are going to be changing. All right? And so the idea is to have conversation with your son or daughter, because they're going to know what's new and popular. It's also going to be talking to other parents, right? Talk to other parents. You are not alone on Sunday morning with me in that room just hearing about this. No, there are other parents in your Life Bible Study that you can connect with and talk about. All right, but here's a warning when it comes to talking to other parents. Please do not guilt other parents into how they should parent their kid, right? Every family is different. Every kid is different. Right? And so your rules for technology are based on your kid, your son or daughter. And it's going to be the same for other families, right? They're not all going to be the same, right? I've done over a dozen in-home family technology plan consultations in the city of Houston, and not one of them is the same, because not every family is the same. And so if you're going to have community with other parents on the topic of technology, please do not guilt them into doing things your way, right? Encourage them to do something that's going to fit for their family, right? But too many times I hear parents say, I just don't want to talk to other parents about it because I tell them one thing and then I get yelled at for how strict I am, right? Don't do that, right? Don't be afraid to talk to those other members in your Life Bible Study class. Find out what works. Find out what didn't work for your son or daughter, right? And then apply it as you can potentially to your family, okay? Thank you again so much. I hope this has been helpful. If you, again, want some more information about me or about Family Technology Plan, you can find that at familytechnologyplan.com. Please stay connected to your Life Bible Study classes. Single Parent Family Ministry and Holly Crane and Don Mutton are here to support and love you through all of your parenting and everything that you can do here at Houston's First. Thank you. God bless.